Hi, my name is Cecilia Puna, and welcome to this episode of Brave New Women. All around the world, there are amazing, ordinary women doing extraordinary things. Brave New Women is about giving those women a platform and a voice, and it's about changing the way that women are perceived. And it's a way of inspiring all of us to do the things that we've always wanted to do. I'm so pleased today to be sitting down to talk to Pamela Johnson. And Pamela Johnson worked for Freddie Mac in the US for many, many years. And her last position was as the Director of Learning and Development. And the reason I'm talking to Pamela is that she has been a mentor to many, many people. And today I'm talking to her about her mentorship, what it's meant to her, what she feels works, what she feels doesn't work. And I'm also talking to her about her new role as an instructional designer. So welcome, Pamela, to the show.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
My first question, Pamela, is how did you get into mentoring?
It happened kind of organically, just engaging with different folks in the workplace, developing those friendships. And then as my career grew and advanced, I found that people were reaching out and asking for counsel, asking for advice, asking, me to share my experiences, and sitting down and having coffee or lunch and a chat with these folks. It kind of happened organically that we made that connection, and we continued the conversations, and I think we built up a trust that they felt comfortable sharing, and they just turned into really good conversations. And I was very, very flattered that they felt I was someone who could offer them some advice. And it's always a joy to be helpful. So,
and what, in your view, what works in a mentoring relationship, and what doesn't work?
I think both parties need to be equally engaged. So many mentoring relationships are structured, they're corporately structured, and it's a requirement that, especially from leaders, that they spend so much of their time giving back. And oftentimes it's a checklist item and not really something that's a passion. So I think what really works is that both people need to be equally invested, and it needs to be a discussion not about so much about how to advance in the workplace. From my perspective, I think advancement comes naturally when you find your joy in your work. And I think it's really about where do you find your joy? Where do you find, what does success mean to you? And I think if you are both equally engaged in those conversations, then that's where you will ultimately see success in the partnership.
Why do you think that you in particular were drawn to being a mentor?
I just think it's my natural, it's my career choice. Having worked many, many years in learning and development, it's what brings me joy and passion in my work is to work with people and to see, as in a training environment, to see the lights go off, to see them understand, to get it, to see them apply what we've talked about in a training environment to their work, and to have more success as a result. So I think it just comes from naturally who I am as a person, that just brings me great joy in my life to be able to work with people and to invest that time and to be helpful. I just, I don't know, maybe I'm just one of those fairy tale people that wants to see everyone be happy. But, life is not always easy. And, so many of us get on that track where we feel like we're running uphill all the time, trying to juggle all these things. And I think if I can play one small role in helping people find a niche in their workplace where they're getting personal satisfaction and fulfillment and really feel like they're attaining their own individual goals, I think it's a worthy endeavor. It's something that I'm honored to be able to be a part of with folks.
And with the different people that you've mentored, have you noticed that there are the same sorts of things holding people back?
Yes. I think that, I think folks tend to focus on mentoring as a tool to jump to that next level. So, here I am in the workplace. I aspire to leadership. I want to grow. I want to be a manager. I want to I want to be an officer. I want to grow. I want to make more money. I want to have this prestige. But is it really bringing you, is it really bringing you the satisfaction in your core? So if you, if you think back to when you were just starting out on your career, how many people really sit down and think, okay, what if I could do anything in the world I want to do? What is it that I really would give me that feeling of accomplishment, that feeling of success? And how many of us can truly say that that's what we're experiencing now in our roles? And I think that, so many people are just focused on that next step of success in terms of their world right now, rather than stepping back and saying, okay, how do I define my success? What are the building blocks that I need to strategically work on to get there in my life? And, in 5 years, what's my strategic plan for 5 years to get there? And so few of us do that. We allow the opportunity to drive us rather than us driving the opportunity. And that takes courage. Lots of times we chase the money, we chase the status. So it takes courage to walk away from that if it's not bringing you joy. And especially, I think, for women, it's particularly hard because, and I don't want to imply that I'm stereotyping women, but I think so many of us are juggling so many, trying to keep so many different balls in the air all the time. And we don't put ourselves first. And so we kind of let life happen to us. And I think that it's really important that when you're mentoring folks and when you're really thinking about your long-term success, you think about it not in terms of job title or salary or how many assets you can accumulate as a result, but really what gives you that deep sense of satisfaction and that you feel you've really made a difference.
What I've noticed in doing the podcast is that when I ask people about their early careers, often they don't have an idea of what they want to do. And sometimes it takes them having a breakdown or burnout to really hit bottom and then discover that, oh yeah, that's when the seeds are planted for this is what I really want to do.
You're absolutely right. And oftentimes it takes us to, the point in our life where where I am right now, who have just recently, kind of taken that leap. And a couple other women that I'm talking to right now who are also, you're kind of at that point in your life where your kids are grown. If you've had children, you're kind of feeling like, okay, I've got some choices again in my life. What do I really want to do? And it's wow, that's great to be at this point. It's a shame that it takes that long. I am very thankful that I have in my life right now 3 really remarkable young women in their early 30s. two of which, actually 4 young women, two of which that are very, very involved in the corporate world. And it was their job out of college, and they've had great success. And I think if you ask either one of them, they'll say, yeah, it's great. I'm happy. I love what I do. The other two are making significantly less money, but are working. The one is an artist, the other is a teacher. But they decided to work in their fields of choice, even though they could make a lot more money doing other things, but they have chosen to pursue what really drives them in their core. So, I have to wonder, and I'm not saying either path is wrong, but I have to wonder in 5 years, 10 years, which of these 4 remarkable women are going to sit back and say, I really did, I accomplished in my life what was really meaningful and what really spoke to me as to what I want to do for this world or what I want to do in this world. So it'll be interesting to see. But you're absolutely right. So many of us just say, okay, here's my job. I got this job. And I remember I was like that when I got out of college. I was joining the job force. It was like, I'll do anything. I just want to get a job. And then that steers your life. And that's actually how I ended up personally in the mortgage business. Is you kind of like just, I've been very fortunate with that career. But if somebody had asked me 25 years ago, what is your dream? It probably wouldn't have been, I just want to work in the mortgage industry. But, it's where we are in this life because, there's needs, but it's important to really think about that in terms of, is this really what I want to do?
I often wonder if people who are, I wonder if when we're young, we can actually have enough perspective to know what we really want to do. And I wonder if it's just not just a matter of trying something and then trying something else, and then eventually things come together in a particular form.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. Is it that we don't know, or we're not programmed to think that way? Because I think that as a young person, you can know. I know that from my own experience as a in my early 20s when I was thinking about what I wanted to do, my focus was really 100% on where were the jobs. And ironically, I wanted to teach. But at the time, teaching opportunities were very scarce. And, I was being counseled, oh, you should go and, you should be a nutritionist. They're great jobs and you should do this. And none of that really interested me. What really interested me was helping people and teaching and being in that environment. And I've been very fortunate that I've kind of woven that into a career in another form. But I think that's just the way we're trained to think. And it would be really nice as young people if we could change that paradigm to think, what's going to bring me true pleasure and satisfaction, and pursue that, and not have to worry so much about whether or not, it's going to bring us, material things or, prestige or any of that.
Yeah, I read recently that all those things are a means to an end.
Exactly.
And that the end is living in line with our values and what it really means something to us.
Yeah. And, I'm not so naive to think that, there's certain obligations. How many of us have student loans that we have to be sure we can pay back and things like that? But it's about having the plan. And part of that plan may be that you have to do this for a certain period of time, but that because that achieves one goal, that gives you the ability to maybe pay back your student loans. But that doesn't mean you have to stay stagnant on your other goals during that time. There's other ways that you can still build your skills and get your satisfaction, through volunteer work, through, continuing to pursue classes, additional classes, seminars, networking, all of those things. It's just important not to lose sight. And if you have a plan and you stay focused on your plan, you can get there. Understanding that everybody's plan is a bit individual and it's nobody else's plan to weigh in on. It's yours.
And do you have any people that you've mentored that have really changed direction?
I do. I have one wonderful woman I'm working with right now. And she was one of my coworkers at Freddie Mac. And she is at that point in her life. Her youngest child is heading off to college. And she's finding herself at that unusual point in life where she's got options. And when we first started talking, I said, well, what is your dream? Tell me about your dream job. And it was, I want to be a director and I want to, work in this and I want to work in that. And I don't think so. That's not really what I've been hearing from you in our conversations and the things that you've shared with me. So she's going through that right now where she's realizing, and she's so gifted. She's a writer and she is going through this whole epiphany right now of there's other options. I don't have to stay in Northern Virginia where it's a fortune to live. I don't have to stay in the U.S. I can move. I can go back to teaching. She finally finished her novel she's been working on for years and is shopping that to publishers. And, she's realizing that there's a whole lot of other things. She's passionate about climate change. And there's many other things that she can do once she lets go of her feeling of obligation to be in the corporate world on that upward career track. So she's going through that interesting change right now. I just spoke with her on Sunday and she was all full of new ideas about how she could write a series of articles and a book about, what really is a husband and that relationship and taking a little bit different spin on the traditional viewpoint and expectations that we have with when we're getting married. So she's a fascinating woman. I really enjoyed getting to know her and being part of this journey with her. And I can't wait to see where she lands. But she's letting it all go. And I've known her for a couple of years, and just to see her be enthusiastic and feeling that freedom is a joy to watch. It's
much like the work that I'm doing as a coach. When you see people who, as you say, they've limited themselves, and our role is just to open up the limits, and then suddenly it's could I do that? And yeah, of course you could do that. And it's just fantastic to watch.
And this one young lady I was telling you about, she's actually my niece, and she's an artist. And she went to college and graduated with a degree in education. And she was working as a teacher for a while, and she loved that. But she's a very, 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 very creative young woman. She always has been. And she thought, she worked that job for a while because it was necessary for her to be able to save the resources and to get the kind of the foundation that she needed to branch out on her own. And she, a couple years ago, left teaching and promoted herself as an artist. She went into a partnership with some friends and opened up a, a retail establishment in Washington, D.C. She's been written up in a number of articles about women to watch. And she's done wonderful art installations in different metro stations and restaurants and areas around DC. And she's just a fascinating young woman. And I don't know many folks her age who have that ability to do that, or have that
the clarity of and the clarity of purpose.
Yeah, and she was counseled against it by many folks who had the very best interests in heart, but they were saying, well, you need a job with great health insurance and, that's going to guarantee you an income. And she worked it all through. She got her plan in place and she followed it. And she's, I don't know that she's making a fortune, but she's still alive and doing just fine. And she seems, very, very happy. And I'm just really proud of her.
Mm. And there are so many people just living these grey lives. So it's, doing what they have to do. Have to do.
And so many of us at this point in our life look back on these people and go, gee, I wonder how they did that. Or, well, if I had enough money, I could have done that. Or if, and I get it that you want to throw a yes but in there. But the reality is any of us could do it if we just gave ourselves permission to do it. It's not magic,
Pamela, tell me about your new role.
So this is, speaking of following what makes you happy. I feel I'm really fortunate. I left Freddie Mac in November and with the plans to retire. And I thought I might dabble in some writing or, reach out to some of my network to see if anybody needed any help with training. And this position kind of fell into my lap. And I'm thrilled to be working as a consultant, creating training for a mortgage company that's going through a huge system conversion. It's wonderful because it's project-based. So, I can work for this project and then I can, I can consider taking on other projects or I can take a break. But I really, really enjoy developing training. And it's fun. I really enjoy being able to get back to my roots and to take something that could be considered very mundane and boring and kind of turn it into a learning module that's captivating for the adult learner. And being able to work hands-on with the learners to create the training, to teach them, coach them afterwards to make sure, and to see them, go, oh, okay, I get it. This makes sense. Oh, this is cool. Oh, I didn't know I could do this. Those are things that are just really fun for me. And it's in the mortgage industry, but that's what I know. And I feel very excited. We just started yesterday, but I'm excited to dig in. And I'm working with a lovely team of, it happens to be all women, but I met them all for the first time yesterday and we hit it right off the bat. And I think it's going to be a very good collaboration and I'm excited.
Fantastic. Yeah. I wanted to ask you, in your role as a mentor, have you noticed that what has been your perception of the workplace for women?
It's come a long way, but it's not there yet. I still think women are paid less than men. I still think women have fewer opportunities organically. I think there's a lot of initiatives. I know at Freddie Mac, there's a lot of initiatives to make sure that we were hiring a diverse workforce, which also, includes women and minorities. But I think the problem with that, while that is all good, I think that what we're still not, there shouldn't have to be initiatives to make sure that we're putting women in these roles or minorities in these roles. It shouldn't take, a top-down requirement that a certain percentage of your workforce is female. So we're making great strides, but there's still a long way to go. It's just, it shouldn't even, I don't think it should even need to be a conversation. And it still is.
And has that been an issue for your career, being a woman?
I think I have been fortunate that in my line of work, it is predominantly women. I'm sure that I have been paid less than my male peers. But I don't feel that I've personally been given an opportunity or been denied an opportunity based on me being a woman. But I think that I've been fortunate that that's my line of work, that it's predominantly women in this field.
And the last question,
I've seen it happen.
Yeah. What are some experiences? Have you seen some things in that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I think a lot of it is the lack of opportunity, or I think there's still some of that old school thinking where hiring managers feel that women are going to be a risk, or they're going to be an expense. They're going to need time off for, maternity leave. They're going to need, different things. And we've made great strides in those areas as well. But I still think that, there's that unconscious bias where I think that that's still an issue. But I also think that we as women need to take a look at ourselves, because in my experience, we don't negotiate salaries the same way men do. We don't put ourselves out there and take the risk as often as, or as comfortably as men do. I was actually having this conversation the other day with my mother. We were watching Jeopardy, and which is a game show here in the U.S. And we were commenting that the women don't bet or take as aggressive chances to increase their winnings as the men do. They have opportunities to wager that they're going to know the answer, and men will put in everything they've got, and women make very conservative bets. And I think by nature, that's the way we are. We're more careful. And sometimes we hurt ourselves with that in the workplace, because we don't advocate for ourselves as much as I think men do.
Pamela, the last question I wanted to ask you is, what's the bravest thing you've ever done?
Oh, gosh. Besides having children?
Yep, that's brave.
I think that this actually what I've done most recently with taking a leap of faith that, I can leave the corporate world. And, I was just on autopilot, working away. I was very fortunate working for a great company. I was given great opportunities for the years that I was there. But when you sit back at the end of the day, I was not really getting any satisfaction from the work I was doing. And I was just tired of the corporate drill. So, the opportunity presented itself, and it was scary. I could have taken the easier way out, and but I opted to make the choice to take the leap of faith, and it's been the best decision I've made. And I think that's also a good thing for us to learn, is that sometimes life throws you a roadblock, and it sucks, but it also most oftentimes is an opportunity to be the best thing that ever happened to you. And I know this one woman that I'm mentoring right now, we've had a lot of conversations about this, is that the struggle she's having with her options right now is going to end up being the best thing that happened to her, because she is going to go down a much happier path and a much more rewarding path. So, I have to say that from a professional point of view, that's probably the bravest thing that I did. No regrets. And, I did have a few middle of the night panic sessions where it's like, oh my gosh, what did I do? Or I'd wake up in the middle of the night counting my money, and I'm like, am I going to be all right? Like, I think that's all typical stress that we're going to go under. But you just have to have the faith and trust yourself, and giving yourself permission to make those choices.
Well, I wish you all the best with the new endeavor.
Thank you.
And I also wanted to acknowledge that the fact that you have mentored so many people and done it in such a selfless way. And I think that the more people we have like you, the better we'll be. So
thank you.
I think that really needs to be said.
Thank you. That means so much to me. You're so kind. It's been an honor speaking with you. And if anybody watches this and has a good takeaway, then it was
all worthwhile.
Yes.
So thank you very much, Pamela. It's been a real pleasure speaking to you.
Thank you. It's been my pleasure too.
I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Brave New Women. Certain podcast sites such as Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, or Podchaser let you leave a rating and a review. The more ratings and reviews we get, the more people will listen, and the more these women's stories will be shared. So I'd really appreciate it if you could. Thanks for listening.